Good morning, everybody. Today we are continuing our aluminum boat search video series, and we have made it to Flippin, Arkansas, to the Vexus headquarters, the Vexus factory, and we're going to check out how they build their aluminum and some of their glass boats, as well as talking with the team to see if Vexus is a good fit for us. So let's go check it out. Before we dive into the factory tour, I want to make something clear. This video is in no way sponsored or compensated for by Vexus. If there were any type of transaction, you would see the Federal Trade Commission disclaimer right at the beginning of this video. I paid for the fuel and the 845-mile round trip and the hotel costs. This is just me shopping for a new boat. We kick things off on the aluminum side of the Vexus factory. What sets this place apart is that they build both the aluminum and the fiberglass boats under one roof. Now there's quite a bit of sectioning for that, right? You got a bunch of welding processes on one side and fiberglass processes on another. But the aluminum production area runs on 3 different lines. They run their bass boats, their center console, and their ADX series in 3 different lines. One of the first things that we took a look at was the material intake. Obviously, this is where the rolls of marine grade 5052 aluminum start rolling in. Weighing about 5,000 to 6,000 pounds a piece, these aluminum rolls get straightened and get fed straight into their plasma cutter right there on site. Since our last video, we've gotten a lot of comments on the Vexus hulls and to be a bit leery of them, as there's some history there, some issues. The Vexus team, I would say, was very transparent about this. They're explaining their evolution from the V1 to the current V2 hull. One of the major upgrades was switching from 100 thousandths material to 125 or 1/8 inch, and they moved from a 2-piece to a 4-piece hull. Now this allows them to weld in a lot more ergonomic positions as well. So you can see there's a ton of rib structures, roll-formed rib structures that are extrusions along the length of the hull. And these are all welded, they're already pre-formed, and they sit into this jig and they are welded in a very ergonomic position. And honestly, that helps a ton. Being in manufacturing, the more ergonomic you can make a process, the more consistent and the better performing your employees will be. Not to mention they're in an air-conditioned space, which is fantastic. You know, it gets plenty hot in Arkansas, humid in Arkansas, and you want your employees to do a good job. And I would say that they've helped enable that quite a bit. As we walk through, you can see the massive press brake. So this allows them to make, I think, up to 22-foot boats. And a cool story is they essentially built the building around this press brake. As you can imagine, this thing is massive. There's several feet of concrete underneath it, and you can feel the floor move when it hits. And they had to put that in first and then build the building around it. And you can see that that press brake is going to form these staggers or the steps within the bottom of the hull. Next, we visited a variety of different welding stations. As the hulls are assembled, the ribs are laid in place, clamped down, and they match the jigs perfectly. As they're welded there, they're allowed to cool there to help mitigate any type of warping. And then once the boat is flipped, the entire bottom gets welded. And you can see that there's a extrusion that runs along the center line, the sides of the hull, and those really align those 4 pieces very well. They lock in there and they are welded in the entire length of the hull and then cut off at the ends. From there, the hulls are mated with sub-assemblies like the transoms and decks, and the transom is substantial. So I've seen some comments that, oh, these boats shouldn't be rated to 250 horsepower or whatever it is. So obviously the transom is going to handle the thrust of the motor and then the lift of the motor as well. So essentially these ribs and this entire transom structure is going to act like forklift arms, and you can see that that structure is there throughout the entire hull. One other thing that's nice is their power poles mount directly to this internal structure, so there's no, aftermarket aluminum hang-off brackets that go to the jack plate. They're mounted firmly to the structure of the hull, which not only makes for a cleaner install, but it's going to be more robust. So as we transition toward the deck and the stringer system, you can see how much structural bracing goes into each boat, right? So you've got the 125 thick hull, you've got the rib structure, and then once you start welding in or bonding in the additional supports from the decking, you're going to get a pretty substantial boat. And all of that is going to be filled in later with flotation foam. I think it's 2-pound flotation foam. Now I pay a little bit more attention to that now that I built a little tugboat. From there, they weigh each hull to make sure that they got the right amount of flotation foam in it, that it meets the marine manufacturer specification. which far exceeds the U.S. Coast Guard requirements. So they build a substantial boat that will be able to float whenever you need it to, which is an important thing, right? From there, they move over into the paint side. So transitioning from the weld shop over to the paint shop, they give it a big acid wash, really to etch that surface so it'll really take good adhesion from the paint. They paint the boat, whatever flavor, whatever color you like. Custom colors are available, and then they bake it right there for about 30 minutes. And that's really gonna set that paint up for a lot of success when you're able to do that acid wash, roll it right into a paint booth, and then bake it and cure it right then. From coming out of the paint line, that's really where they're gonna do a visual inspection of the hull, make sure they have any corrections they need to make. And then from there, it's gonna go to the finish line. From there, we're gonna transition over to the fiberglass side. And the fiberglass side is a whole different animal, right? On the aluminum side, you got aluminum rolls coming in. On the fiberglass side, you got fiberglass mat coming in, you got plugs and molds and gel coat, all kinds of different things going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now the process begins with gel coating the molds. From there, they do vacuum infusion. What we're showing here is the stringer system. The hull and then the deck all goes through the vacuum infusion process. And if you're not familiar with that, the older boats were really like a chopped fiberglass. They'd chop up the fiberglass, spray it with the resin, and you would get huge inconsistencies with that. You get some thin spots, thick spots, not really easy to control the parts. They'd have to really clamp them down to get them put together. And these are much more precise than that. So all of these fiberglass parts, the mat itself is cut with the CNC, and they're able to get the pieces just right. From there, they lay them out all dry, then they bag it. And what they're doing is they're gonna force in the resin and suck a vacuum on the other end. That's essentially just gonna pull that resin throughout the part, and it's also gonna pull it tight to the mold. So you're gonna get really consistent thicknesses of the part. You're gonna get consistent resin to mat ratios, and you're gonna get a very lightweight part that's extremely strong throughout in the entirety of the part. They also used a variety of different mats. So as you can see, I think it's quadriaxial or something for the stiffness. In certain areas of the deck, they have a much different weave. And then on the outer sides of the boat, you have a more finer mesh that gives you a better surface finish and is still strong as well. So after all the fiberglass parts are made, of course, they need to be bonded together. So these are all fixture set. Again, this is in a very clean environment. I've been in plenty of fiberglass or molding facilities, and there's dust and debris everywhere. That was not the case here. These operators are working in a great environment. And so they're able to spend the time to get this right. They're bonding them together. They're joining the hull and the top deck. And these boats go together very well. You're not forcing it to go together. You can tell that they're precision fit. And that's gonna make a big difference in the long-term performance and reliability and quality of any of these hulls. So I would say, you know, I'm gonna geek out as being in the manufacturing process. There's not many better ways than I could think of to put these boats together. The quality there has been very good. From there, we move over to the finish line, of which all the boats are finished. And now what I really like about the Vexus product is there's really not, they've got their standard specs, right? But there's not any required cookie cutter boats. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm coming out of a Tracker. And Tracker, if you've shopped those at all, they are cookie cutter specs, right? You are getting the Mercury motor, you're getting the whatever base trolling motor, you're getting the whatever fish finder Lowrance 5-inch display that you're just going to throw away as soon as you get the boat. Not quite the case with the Vexus. So you can get Humminbird, Lowrance, or Garmin. You can get whatever size you want. You can get Echo maps or GPS maps. You can get a Lowrance Ghost trolling motor. You can get a Garmin Force trolling motor. You can get an Ultrex on it. What I liked about it is you're not really forced to buy things you're just going to toss. They'll factory install a Suzuki, a Yamaha, or a Mercury motor. It'll look like the Mercuries are by far higher volume, but you know, Suzuki and Yamaha certainly have their place as well. You get factory installed power poles. Like I mentioned before, no kind of bracketology going on there to mount your power poles. They go directly to the hull in the aluminum boats, which is really nice, directly to the transom. It's also worth mentioning that the trailers are also all built by Vexus. I think that's pretty unique. I've not seen that by a variety of different brands. They own a facility about a mile down the road, and they build all their own C-channel rails. They're not boxed, so they're not holding water. You've got some routing aids for the harness so they're not super exposed, and you're able to service that really well. And you can ensure that that boat is built for that trailer because they're in control of all that. So that wraps up our trip here at the Vexus factory. Overall, I'm super impressed with their ability to put these boats together. We looked at the glass boats and the aluminum boats. Love the fixturing. It looks like they have a really ergonomic way to put these boats together, especially for a welder, someone that does weld. That makes a huge difference in your ability to do a good job over the long haul. Great people to talk to. You know, you could really tell that they're enthusiasts and they use the products and they're able to get out there and really make a good boat. And overall, we did go for a ride in the 2100 here at Bolschel's. So they're nice enough to spend a little bit extra time with us, go take us for a boat ride, and a very impressive boat. I'd say that the deck on this boat is massive. I don't know if there's such a thing as too big of a deck on a boat, but that's pushing it because we stood there 3 wide on the front of this boat, and you can definitely fish 3 people off of it. So I appreciate the hospitality from Vexus. You know, we drove out here actually on our way to go pick up a puppy, so we may see a new character on our channel joining us in some future videos. And thanks for coming along with us on the Vexus trip here in Flippin, Arkansas, and we'll see you on the next video.